So, a merchant, femme fatale, wizard, and a lich walk into a bar and ask for 1 cup of coffee. The barista asks what name to write on 1 cup of coffee, and they all say the Pereghost. Hello, my name is Kate, and I'm gonna tell you about the current leader of Zhentarim in D&D. And thanks to you, fellow subscriber, for suggesting this wonderful character. The Pereghost, a public leader of Late Zhentrim, a human turned undead, skillful commander of armies and powerful enemy, respected by Manshoon, Sememmon and Fzoul Chembryl, fallen paladin of Torm turned High Lord of Darkhold, the Pereghost reformed Zhentrim army from treacherous backstabbing assassins to organized professional mercenaries. He can be met in old editions of D&D such as Castles Darkhold, Lords of Darkness, adventure guides, to new materials. But how did he become like that? Let's figure it out. Aurelius Galdenhorn was a simple human born in a Zhentarim family. While the boy was young, he was taken into apprenticeship to become later a paladin of Torm, a god of duty, loyalty, righteousness, and obedience. Yet the paladinship didn't teach boy anything of that. In few years' time, while being a full-grown man, he stole gold from the temple of Torm and spent it on own pleasures. Those who saw him do it, Aurelius brutally killed. Since it's known that the Pereghost appeared in the Darkhold in 1356, and he was initially human, spending lots of time on the adventures, I think it would be safe to assume that he was born in late 13th century, maybe around 1280. He fled the murder site, escaping the trial, and joined the group of adventurers where he met thief Meristerna Malark, who he partnered and fell in love with. Few years later, on the adventure to the dungeons of Ghost Holds in Battledale region, they found the lair of an old Natherese lich Varkenbrand. During the battle, Aurelius got possessed by an evil spirit and killed everyone in the party, including his beloved. In desperation and pain, he took his own life. And this is the point where old and new editions featuring the Pereghost differ. You see, in all editions he was considered human, and it precisely said that he kept his helmet closed when ate with his officers in a mess. Yet in modern sources, he was killed and resurrected, obtaining undead stat block. And to be honest, I like the idea of him being an artificial Death Knight rather than a scary human. The Lich resurrected him and implanted in him 3 other spirits which he kept. One of the spirits was Mendesmore Paradin, from which the newly baked Death Knight took name Pereghost. During his adventures in 1312, Darkhold had become Zhentrim base of operations. It grew into a large fortress under the wizard Sememmon, who was a student of Manshoon himself. Volo took a note of Darkhold.
Today, this black stone fortress is feared and hated by folk all over the coastlands and much farther afield in Faerun who've never seen it and hope never to. I am one of them. For obvious reasons, I dared not approach this grim stronghold even in disguise and can only tell you what I know of this place of death from questioning others, some of them long-lived and mighty in lore. Travelers are advised to avoid Darkhold's reach as much as possible and to be aware at all times that Darkhold's reach includes almost all of Sunset Vale by night or whenever the defenders of Vale settlements are busy elsewhere.
Little is known about the times after the Pereghost transformation. When the Death Knight took control of his spirits, he finally showed up at the gates of Darkhold in 1356. He was taken into Zhentrim army, who always welcomed recruits. Being the man of little words and more of actions, he quickly rose into commander ranks by 1359 and started to command the whole Darkhold troops, transforming it to a deadly and efficient army. As his background was of Torm's paladins, his approach to the command was different, and that earned him respect among other soldiers. He judged soldiers by merit, and promotions were earned through blood and sweat, which was very unusual for always plotting, scheming and bribing Zhentrim. Due to this approach, the army was extremely loyal to him. Under his command were the elite Stormwatch, Castle Guards units, cavalry outriders, and minor ground troops, counting in total to over 800 units. Fun fact about the Pereghost that in early editions when he was considered human, he took his helmet off, and he was described to have a long blonde hair held in a ponytail, and also a long deep scar running down his right cheek. The Pereghost was awarded its own 150-feet tower in Darkhold Keep. The tower had an armory on the ground level, which was always busy with 5 blacksmiths working. The heat was moved through pipes into the walls, warming up next floors through the air, such as the meeting hall on the first floor, own study room on the second floor, living quarters on the third, and a wyvern cellar on the last floor, which the Pereghost decided not to occupy and left empty. Though later, Wizards reworked his keep to the one presented in the Darkhold Secrets of Zhentrim. There, the Pereghost resides in the main big evil tower on the top floors. In my opinion, the version from old editions felt more real, like a keep or medieval castle, while this one looks like an evil spire lair. As a commander of the Darkhold army, the Pereghost was riding heavy warhorse Sundusk, which was fitted with a magical winged harness allowing the Pereghost to fly. When the commander's horse died of old age, he replaced it with a new heavy warhorse. The most recent one is Underaho. The Pereghost always holds a sword Determination, a lawful evil sentient longsword forged from unbreakable alloy in Avernus, which is a powerful +3 legendary weapon. In 2 years after the promotion, in 1361, the first Bane test was initiated inside the Zhentarim organization carried out by the followers of Cyric, who wanted to remove all Bane phase completely from Zhentrim, and subsequently, in 7 years, in 1368, most Banes were driven out of the Darkhold too, and the Pereghost, being the most loyal to material ideas rather than face, easily changed his loyalty from Torm to Cyric. 2 years later, in 1370, Zhentrim fell, which was a result of Fzoul Chembryl attempt to establish full control over the organization. Seeing the success of Fzoul, the current leader of Darkhold, Sememmon, fled the castle, leaving Darkhold without an appointed leader. The leadership was split between 2 next in command, the Pereghost and Damer Erkels, a Cyric cleric's leader, yet he was just a human. Immortal Death Knight outlived him. Soon after Zhentrim Keep and Citadel of the Raven were destroyed by Shadow War in 1383, Darkhold became the main citadel of Black Network. With the Pereghost focusing Black Network on accumulating military strengths, Zhentrim proved very useful after Spell Plague events, where magic became unreliable compared to a mercenary blade. Darkhold continued to be the main center of Zhentrim operations, and by 1492 counted over 1,500 inhabitants, with the Pereghost as its sole ruler, who kept working on increasing forces and leading the new generation Zhentrim forward. Is he a strong character? From the lore perspective, he is an exceptionally skillful fighter and commander turned undead. He is a leader of Zhentrim and owned the whole citadel and a huge army and a vast network around Fyron. From technical perspective, he is an extremely scary enemy. In new edition, he is a monster of challenge rating 20 with armor class 20, 5 legendary resistances, powerful legendary weapon, and special encounter features. Since he is occupied by 4 ghosts, technically the Pereghost has 630 HP, as players needs to kill all of them, and each spirit possesses own abilities, resistances, and powerful spells. Technically, it's even more HP than Tiamat has. And now a bit of DM tips on how to play him. He's a public leader of Zhentarim who is calm, calculating and professional. Though he's given chaotic evil alignment, I think he could act as an end campaign quest giver. But he can also be the main antagonist. Imagine one of the wild spirits, for example Warl Graaldin, who is a spirit of Lich, finally takes over the Pereghost consciousness and gain access to all Zhentarim resources. And when fighting the Pereghost, do not fight alone. I'm sure the Pereghost know everything about treachery and ambushes and combat maneuvers, and always comes prepared for a fight. The leader of Zhentarim has trusted commanders around Darkhold who would rush to help. And that's all on the High Lord of Darkhold and public leader of Zhentarim, and I think we might soon hear about him again, as he's already referenced it in Baldur's 3 free video game, and Zhentarim will always be on a central stage in D&D. Thank you for watching, and if you like the lore, please press like and subscribe button, and tell me in the comments below who else you would like to hear about. And see you next time.